Bust it.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to Political Platform. My name is Amechi Anokweze. A beautiful Monday morning. Of course, we are here again to update you on topical issues as they relate to Nigeria's socio-economic and political development. Another rift in the presidency, that's the big question. The senior special assistant to the president on prosecution, one man who has been very vociferous in the defense of the policies, programs, and action of the president, Okoye Obla, was said to have been relieved of his appointment as a chairman special panel on the recovery of public property by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. Of course, that action of the minister flowed from a letter we had that emanated from the Vice President's office expressing concern about the procedure and the legality of the actions of that panel. But Obla almost immediately replied saying the public should disregard the directive, that he is still the chairman of that panel, and that indeed there's no word yet from the presidency as to whether he should hands off. Now, it was the sacked Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachi Alawa, that first asked the question, who's the presidency? When he was told that he has been suspended. Now, Okoye Obla is saying there's no word yet from the presidency relieving him his position as the chairman special panel on the recovery of public property. Is there another in-house fighting within the presidency? Who's really in charge of the presidency? Some very disturbing trend in the PDP. The Southwest Board of Trustees of the party met and decided to give thumbs ups, endorse 3 candidates, and to tell the 3 others who are also from the Southwest to forget about their ambition. But it elicited a lot of reactions from the 3 saying it was an illegal action, that the BOT Southwest should not have gone into that in the first place. We shall be giving you that. Another magic from a state independent electoral commission. Enugu state government held a local government elections last weekend, and at the end of the day, the ruling party in the state, the PDP, won all the 17 seats and all the councillorship seats. A magic, you will say. It's no longer a landslide, it's a moonslide. And what happened in Enugu is not different from what happened at the states, where the state independent electoral commissions do, of course, conduct elections, forcing many to come up with the proposal that INEC in Abuja should be given the responsibility of conducting local government elections. Adebayo Boundary is with us in the studio this morning.
I think is another face-off, we should call it, between the Attorney General and the Senior Special Assistant to the President on prosecutions is also an interesting development. You will recall that his appointment his appointment was made in strict compliance with a decree, which is now an act of the National Assembly. During the military regime, there was an asset recovery decree, and the then head of state is the one empowered to make appointments, appoint the chairman and members of the panel, depending on whether it's a one man or a multiple panel or whatever it is. So the issue that it raises now boils down. In the first place, the power is the president that is empowered to make such appointment. But a situation where the Attorney General, whether it's acting on the instruction of the president or the vice president, depending on whose power, to whom that power has been delegated to, is something that I think is very, very interesting for us to watch. It is just it's now becoming manifestly clear that every week we will witness one form of face-off or the other in the presidency. Because if the Attorney General issued a statement that you are no longer the chairman of that panel, without telling the nation why he was removed in the first instance, and then it calls to question, it raises critical
they did
questions.
mention, they said some activities of the panel is running contrary to the law setting it up.
Yeah, that's but what are those activities that are running contrary to? The nation must not be kept in darkness, and it's a very, very disturbing trend that I think we shouldn't be witnessing frequently like this. There is also a very, very disturbing report over the weekend from Plateau and Gombe states, and I think it's something that the Federal Ministry of Health and the Presidency should also be interested in, to hear of a report that 250 Nigerians lost their life as a result of scarcity of antivenom drug to cater for those who have snake bite. It's a disturbing trend that I think we should, because, and if you look at it critically, those are the ones who reported to the hospitals. There's perhaps several others who may probably not, who have died quietly without even going to the hospital where they will have access to some of these drugs. The available information clearly indicates that since August, there has not been a single supply of this drug to any of the hospitals in these endemic zones, particularly Plateau and Gombe State. And I think it's a wake-up call, because this season of the year is when snakes go on rampage, and I think something concrete should be done.
And when a snake bites someone big in government, the person will readily fly out of the country and go for treatment. Our friend and colleague, the Chief Press Secretary to this Delta State Governor Hedo Aniagu, is in town, and as usual, he's joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Amechi, and good morning, listener.
Well, we'll take a short break. When we come back from that short break, we take some of your mails. Please, henceforth, if you're writing to us, put in your phone number, because we may wish to call you into the program. We promise you that over time we'll begin the practice of indeed getting the voice of some of our writers to this program to help in the analysis. You know it better than we do, so the more the merrier. And of course, it's a marketplace of ideas. We shall be commencing today with a call we plan to put out to one of our listeners. So please do include your number so that we can contact you. But first, let's take a short break.
Bust it.
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Welcome back from the break. It's the mail segment, and I'm Amaka Okoro.
Hello, I am Usaiti Yari.
We'll begin with a mail from Elijah Ona from Karu in Nasarawa State, and he writes on the recent appointments by President Muhammadu Buhari. The mail reads, with the list of appointments released last weekend by additional President Muhammadu Buhari is finally vindicated of accusations of favoritism and marginalization in appointments. It is surprising to note that Southern Zone has 82 appointees, while Northern Zone has 75 appointees. Ogun, the home state of the Vice President, has 21 appointments, while Katsina, the President state, has 14. Who marginalized who? The media has misled Nigerians and created hatred and disunity in the issue of appointments without due professional diligence. Political Platform should apologize to President Muhammadu Buhari and Nigerians. God bless President Muhammadu Buhari.
Hakim Karim in Lagos has a contrary opinion. He says, it amazed me when the president's spokesman came out with a wishy-washy list of federal appointments, insulting our collective intelligence. Given the commanding heights of political, economic and security appointments to the north at the expense of the south clearly shows the nepotism and irredentist predisposition of this administration. In any case, monopolizing and allocating all the first-grade posts to the north and throwing all the inconsequential and low-grade remnants to the south as scavengers is the bane of this government, regardless of the mountain of the so-called belonging to everyone and belonging to nobody. As the saying goes, the devil is in the details. The truth is that a country not run on the basis of justice, equity and fairness cannot progress and develop regardless of the shenanigans going on.
And Collins Eze from Cuba in Abuja writes on the call for President Buhari's re-election. The mail reads, "Dear crew members, it is not absurd for anyone to start campaigning for President Buhari's re-election when he's yet to fulfill most of his election promises. Rather than this sycophancy here and there, those rooting for his re-election should advise him to use this remaining period of his administration to tackle the issue of anger, unemployment, insecurity, lack of power, dilapidated schools, and poor health care, which has not improved since the current administration came on board. I believe the 1 year and 6 months remaining in the lifespan of this APC government is enough to make a lot of positive change in the country, and it is only then that people can boldly come out to campaign for his re-election. It is still possible to effect changes in the polity. God bless Nigeria."
Emeka Mba in Abuja is writing on the crime against internally displaced persons. He says only someone who has not been to IDP camps and witnessed firsthand the harrowing living conditions of fellow human beings that would not go into near shock on hearing that any normal person would divert under whatever guise funds and materials meant for them. It's animalistic and conscienceless for anyone to even think of living off IDPs. Senator Florence Itagiwa wept on national TV while reporting this ugly trend. IDPs also have severally accused handlers of diverting materials, with some culprits caught in the act. Former SGF Babache Lawal soiled his hands in IDP funds. There's been report of rape, sex for food and other items, and all manner of evil perpetrated by handlers of IDPs, and not even a whimper from government. I recommend that very stiff penalty, equaling that of armed robbery, be handed to anyone found guilty of crime against internally displaced persons. Government must protect these people. May God help the IDPs. That's it on the mail segment today. Continue to write to us through political platform at yahoo.com.
Bust it!
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Thank you so much for remaining with us. It was the Minister of Health that suspended the DG of the National Health Insurance Scheme. And he told the whole world that the minister does not have the right to suspend him, that it should be the action that should be preserved for the presidency. Now, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation has also asked the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Prosecution and Chairman Special Panel on Recovery of Public Property, that's Okoyo Bonobla, to, of course, step down as chairman of that panel. But, of course, he didn't talk about him being sacked as Senior Special Assistant to the President. But he asked him not to grant further press interviews without clearance from him. Of course, you know Okoyo Obla, he's always quick to indeed defend the government everywhere on their actions, at least as it pertains to the issue of legal matters involving the presidency. But the panel issued a statement quickly after the Minister of Justice had brought out his own statement, and we gathered that the letter of the Minister of Justice was a flow over from a letter also coming from the Vice President's office saying that we expect the presidency to, of course, talk, that no word yet from the presidency. Let's welcome Mustafa Mohammed as my colleagues react to this development.
I mentioned that the inconsistencies we complain about continue. I think it's the lack of synergy we have in government, where you have overlapping roles, and there are people who will deliberately or otherwise will want to do things not within their schedule. I think all government agents should really follow some due process that these overlapping functions and conflict of interest don't need to arise. It's actually very embarrassing to every government. Let's take an example of the inconsistent responses coming from the same government, where the spokespersons of the president will tell you a different thing. The information minister will also come out and tell you a different thing. I think there is need for synergy. The government need to, I think, put its own staff in order.
Well, it's important, Amechi, that is paid because it's paid. You do know that when it comes to legal issues and issues of the law, the Office of the Attorney General, particularly occupied by the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, is the clearinghouse. And if he gives instruction to whoever that is operating in that sector, because even when they say you are a special assistant to the president on ABC or a special assistant to a governor on ABC, almost everybody reports through a higher boss. There are those who report through commissioners or ministers, as the case may be. There are those who report to other heads. It is not every special, when they say because you are a special assistant, it means that you report directly to the president. Because there is
through the chief of staff.
Yes, there are a number of persons through who these individuals react and respond. But of course, the issue of Obla, I am not a lawyer, but on several occasions I've listened to him. I think that each time he speaks, he causes more trouble for this government rather than saving the government. I give you an example. When Meina resumed duty, I watched him on a program on channels, Politics Today, and what he was saying is that after all, nothing is wrong with Meno. He has not been convicted, and he was reminded the Senate has indicted this man. This man is a fugitive. He defended it. Not 2 days after, the government realized that he progressed in error in that defense. And ditto many other times you see him appearing on TV. So I think the Attorney General may have weighed all this to say, please clear before you proceed in error.
What should be the reporting process for a senior special assistant? There's the SGF, there's the chief of staff, and there's the presidency, the president himself. Then you have the minister, who is the chief legal advisor to the president. Now, how should all these things play out?
But I think I think there is a problem. The problem is that when we have ministers, you have special advisors, you have senior special assistants,
you have special assistants,
and there is no proper structure in terms of who do you report to. That's why you have this conflict of
all these assistants should report to the chief of staff, to the president.
No, it depends on the letter.
It depends on the appointment. The totality of it is that communication with the president has to go through the chief of staff. But almost everybody, because they are presidential appoint aides, and they have a feeling that it's only the president that can hire and fire. And before this program started, I was in touch with the SSA prosecutions, who is in the heat of this matter. I mean, who is actually the one in this matter. And he said, for now, he had decided not to speak to the media. That if we want to seek clarification on this issue, we should either contact Femi Adesina, the media advisor to the president, or the secretary to the government of the federation. As far as he's concerned, he has not been removed. He has not been sacked.
Okay, he has not been sacked as SSA to the president, but was asked to step down as chairman special panel on recovery of public property. Of course, we told you about the extant laws that it is the president that appoints the chairman of that panel. Is it the president that asks him to step aside? These issues will, of course, play up in the next few days. But let's go to the PDP. Of course, the race for the chairmanship is on. The Southwest Board of Trustees of the party sat and came up with some positions, saying they have endorsed about 3 persons from the Southwest. Recall there are 6 persons in the Southwest. Otumba Benga Daniel, Rashidi Ladoja, and Jimmy Abaje were said to have been eliminated by the group, while the other 3, Professor Twahido Adedoja, Professor Tunda Adeniran, Olabode George, were given thumbs up. But the others are kicking, saying indeed it is an illegality by that BOT Southwest.
I think there's an aberration from the way and manner this thing was carried out. The PDP Board of Trustee Southwest Zone is unknown to the constitution of the party, and if 2 members of that Board of Trustee from the south, from the same zone, specifically Chief Bode George, and Professor Tunde Adeniran, are also members of from the zone, and they are in the race, and they will now sit and prune down the number of people who can contest from that zone. I think something is essentially very wrong with the way and manner the thing was carried out. We only have a board of trustees. The board of trustees of PDP is yet to sit or make any pronouncement on this issue. And so there is, for a body that is not recognized by the constitution of the party to now sit down and say it has pulled down candidates, I think something is
the National Caretaker Committee chairman has said some days ago that they were under pressure to microzone and shortlist, but he says he won't do that because it's illegal. But I mean, here you have BOT of the Southwest doing it.
One of the problems that drove the mighty PDP as a party as a setback was the problem that for many of them acknowledge that lack of internal democracy. And if that has been recognized as a problem, why would they want that problem to rear its ugly head again when the People's Democratic Party has fought so hard, including going to court, to make sure that they forge ahead without any problem? I think the leadership of the party, Makarpi and Co, needs to call the people in the Southwest so that they don't throw the party into another crisis. Because the way PDP has found itself now, it's really very ready to capture so many places in 2019. But with this kind of problem, I think a lot of people will also be angry with that kind of action.
One of the things, like you rightly mentioned, that killed the party are matters to greed and selfishness. And the only way the party can get out of the pit that is sunk after that 2015 election is to shun greed. What I'm seeing playing out now is also a measure of greed. A number of persons who know that the PDP need to show Nigeria that they are ready for generation next are still being very, very selfish. And mostly this old war horse. All these individuals who are not only very old, but who are one way or the other tainted with that brush of corruption. That paint of corruption, anybody that comes up and Nigerians can point to where that person has been accused of corrupt practices, is not going to help the party. It's high time the leaders of the party learnt that. Okay,
let's go to another issue now as we welcome one of our listeners and writers, Laji Abbas. Hello, Laji. Hello, Laji.
Hello, Amici.
Now, let's have your reactions on the appointments as released by the presidency. The presidency said by his own calculation, the South has benefited 82 times, while the North has 75 times. That was a reaction to a publication by one of the dailies saying that indeed 81 out of the 100 appointments by the president has gone to the way of the North. What do you say about this?
The fact is this: it is a verifiable fact. The records are there to show it. It's being published. Anybody that is doubting it can go and read and prove the fact wrong.
So why is it that the president is always accused of being sectional? Is it something that has to do with perception or reality? Why is it particular with this president?
Maybe it will interest you to note that good leaders are always in that situation. Go and find out what happened in Singapore. Go and read about Lee Kuan Yew. When your Singapore broke out of Malaysia, he was trying to put things in order, but people complain, and try to even tear him into pieces. But today, last time I visited Singapore, I saw Americans there taking pictures. So it's always like that with your good leaders. Like if you are a good Christian, go and see about Jesus Christ, how he was being chased up and down. The same thing to the Holy Prophet Muhammad. So good leaders are always going through a red encounter.
Okay, so you believe over time Nigerians will begin to see it the way you're doing?
Really, one thing is this: for 15 years we were patient. For just 2 years, people are out of their soul. So it's a matter of time. It's not done like the research on. Yeah.
Okay, Laji Abbas, thank you so much. He says it's just a matter of time. Give the present time, and you'll see the good work he's doing. Of course, we ask you to also include your phone numbers on your mails when you send them. Maybe once in a week or once in 2 weeks, we'll call you, and of course, to to bring you into this program. On behalf of my colleagues, thank you so much for being part of today's edition. But we'll be here tomorrow. That's Tuesday for another edition. My name is Amechi Anakwe. Have a most wonderful day.
Bust it.